goes north is the Nile. So
Nile. I thought, I guess does the Ohio River go north? I don't know. Whatever.
Fuck would I know where the Ohio River.
I can't help thinking, somewhere in the universe, there has to be something better than man. Has to be. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ascension To Ten.
All right.
Cut it, man. Cut it.
What the heck was that?
Lord. That was
right. Here we are.
major lag on our part.
I don't know what the heck that was. Oh, you're
You should actually just maybe even leave this one in as part of it, just so they could maybe experience that.
I can't get. Oh, there we go. I was like,
No, there
how
we
do
go.
I get it
Okay.
off the screen? Hello, here we are.
We're back.
Yeah, if you're watching it and you get to see it, we added a little. There was a video of our intro song, but for some reason it just like started changing the beat and speeding up and slowing down. And anyways, doesn't matter.
39 episodes into this show are still having unresolvable tech issues.
Just gonna delete that. Won't use that file
Yeesh.
again. All right. Well,
Get
here
it
we
out
are.
of here.
Yep. Happy second week of January, Jad.
Yep, it's 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought we'd get here?
Who'd have thought
The
we
big
would
one.
Make it this far? I had
Q3.
to travel this week down to Georgia, Alabama area, and it's one of those. It was one of those trips where, for whatever reason, the travel was like, "Hey, you should work all day and then fly after you've worked all day." And then the flight kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed.
Mm.
And then I got into Atlanta at like 11:30, and then I had a 2-hour drive. So we got in at like 1 o'clock. And then the next day you had to get up and go in like at 7 o'clock. And we had typical intentions of recording
Oh, yeah, we're
an
gonna
episode
record.
while we're traveling. I got this. I figured out how to get the little mini mic that I've talked about that doesn't work on my phone. Either I have to listen to, I can either use headphones or I can use the microphone. And I finally got it working. And then just work stuff. Never got it. And
Here we are, though.
Yeah, it
We'll
was
still
one of
get
those.
one out on time.
Yeah, we'll be fine. But it was the work that we were doing. We had to go to a vendor that we work with, and it was literally, Jerry from Parks and Rec, where he's just going to town on envelopes, folding,
Yeah.
stuffing,
Yeah.
licking, sealing, moving on. Like mine was similar to that in the fact that like I had to open all these envelopes with packages or like papers in them, look at them all, put them back in, fold them, put them back. So it's just like this constant bullshit. Anyways,
Why did
it
you
was
have to do
2 days of that. Had to validate. We had to validate all these things for work, and they're like
Yikes.
different packages and envelopes that we have to verify. So it was like over 400 of these things that I had to take out, look at, confirm. So
You know what? Say what you will about the future and what's coming to the American workforce. Robots cannot replace humans to do that.
you know
Too
what?
valuable
Too
to
valuable.
replace us for that.
Every envelope that I opened, the paper inside of it was not folded perfectly. It was like this. It was diagonal. So they somehow
That's
the sorting
unacceptable.
or folding thing was all messed up. I was like, I could do this.
Did you
Just
line
line
use
them
one
up.
of those? Did you use one of those rubber fingers on your index finger or thumb?
No, I should have. I literally have a cut and like a callus on my
Oof.
finger from like trying to flip up all the
Paper callus.
stupid papers.
He's a working man,
Shoulda.
folks. It's a blue collar job out there down south.
Okay. You reminded me of a story from when I used to work in this like operations area of a bank, and there was this guy that was in charge of mailing everything, and he had one of those little rubber things, and he also had like the, I don't know, kind of, it's like a liquid thing that you dip your finger in so you can flip things really fast, papers and stuff. But the funny thing about this guy is, so his only job was mailing things. Like he was the mail room for this department. And every morning he would go in, get his coffee, go to the bathroom, put his coffee on the ground in the stall while he did his business. And then when he got done, he would pick it up, go and wash his hands, and come back, and then just put the coffee mug right back on his desk. It was just the grossest thing. Just imagining, like, why do you have to bring your coffee cup? Why don't you just wait to get your coffee till after you do your business?
Well, so, I mean, if you witnessed all parts of that, did you have some kind of similar schedule in the morning that you would be in the bathroom too?
Well,
or...
I would, yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
didn't bring my coffee with me.
Okay.
This is, I've got things just keep growing. Okay, so this was the time. This was the time where we had in our friend group, we had discovered some app where you can log your time for how much time you've wasted or dollars you've wasted when you're pooping on the toilet.
Yeah,
and then we all got
Yeah.
worried because we were like, well, maybe everyone can find out how much we make based on like time we waste and how much money we've wasted.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, what a great. Just great.
Oh man,
That was back when you're just minions. Anyways.
Oh, I mean, to come to think of it, it was the birth of our group chat, our group me.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been in 2011, I think, right?
Yep.
And that started when all of us, it was just post college, and everyone was at, their first job, basically post college job.
Yeah.
And we started this, and I remember that first month of that. I mean, it slowed down a little bit in year 12, but that first month, I don't think any of us did any work because it was all day long. 10 of us just basically texting each other to this group lounge. and within there was these just random features of GroupMe back then that was, you could pin your location as a message. You could send your location, but it didn't, you could just choose anywhere on the map that was your location, and it would
it didn't have
come
to
up
be like...
as a name. And it was it was pulling some weird metadata from other users or something. I think it was, you could name
from
something.
Foursquare. It was the Foursquare app. Foursquare app used to be where you like would check in, and then I think there was a way for you to like get points and stuff if you checked in at Foursquare. Okay. So that's where but then there were some really weird ones.
Well, that's the thing. And then it became just a couple weeks of just seeing who could post the weirdest location. And then, but Spenny won because we still call our group chat the Toot Toot Lounge. And that's because you were driving from Kansas to back home, right? And it was,
I was going out for homecoming at our at Luther College.
So. Okay.
But I was driving while trying to find my location.
But you passed this diner thing. It called called Toot Toot Lounge, right? And then you just set that as a random location. And then that then forever became the name of our group chat. And no one could top that.
Now, if you're ever traveling up I-35 and you stop in Bethany, Missouri, there's Toot Toot Lounge. It's still there. Jordan and I actually went there.
We went there, right?
Time.
Was that for Alan's bachelor party or something? I flew to you, and then we drove up to Minneapolis, something like that. Okay, and we stopped there, and it was barely mediocre, I think. As I remember,
it was like chicken fried
just-
steak, potatoes,
yeah.
and a giant salad bar, and it was like,
yeah,
okay.
it's like a Brandon Steakhouse, pretty much.
Yeah.
What I liken that to.
I don't know. If you want to talk about Brandon's Steakhouse, this is deep to me. Like, I hate the Brandon Steakhouse, and we used to go all the time. But I like the spaghetti was always good, but anything with like the steaks or anything, just I don't know, it just never was good to me.
I'm pretty sure. I think I went there once, maybe in my life, because my family just didn't go there, and so I didn't grow up going there, and it's in no way memorable, the food when I went there, but I do remember that it looked like a VFW or something inside. It was just generic paneled walls, and literally nothing about it screamed, I want to come back here. Like, nothing. I don't remember the circumstances why I went, but or who I was with, if it was my family or not, but I agree with you. That place sucks. It sucks.
Well, so one of the other things too, I never noticed this until we started dating my wife, but she came with us one time, and so they have the salad bar. Is everyone gets salad bar, you get steak, and then you add salad bar for like $3 or whatever.
A chunk of iceberg lettuce, right?
Well, yeah, it's so the salad bar is iceberg lettuce, and then you put ranch on it, fake bacon bits, sesame or sunflower seeds, and then there's potato salad, macaroni salad, anything that you can drench in mayonnaise, it's on the salad bar. But
plus
the other
the club crackers, right? The 2-pack
club crackers, of course.
Club crackers.
Gotta have club crackers. At the end though, there's a block of cheese, like a cheddar cheese block. It's like huge, giant. But the thing is sometimes when you're trying to cut cheese and it's just a serrated knife, like a steak knife to cut it with, well, sometimes it's hard to cut that cheese. So what do people do? Put your hand on it.
So so gross.
Yeah, so that's
so freaking gross. All that for cheese.
I did it for years, didn't even think about it. So and now it's like, anyways, they don't have the salad bar anymore because of after COVID, so as far as I know.
It took a pandemic to shut that down. Maybe that's where COVID came from.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Old Brandon Steakhouse. Brandon Steakhouse was across the street from Pizza Ranch, right?
Oh, yeah, baby.
And in my mind, when you have a perfectly good Pizza Ranch across the street, why would you ever consider going to Brandon Steakhouse? Because there's a buffet that you can get chicken and what's the roasted chicken finger things? What were those thin chicken fingers? Do you remember those? It was like a I don't know, almost like a straw,
giant chicken. Oh,
it was a tube. It was a cylinder of chicken.
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you sure you're not confusing potato wedges with chicken fingers?
Of course. Yes. I think they literally called them chicken fingers because they kind of resembled fingers. More than, the fillet that is just a regular chicken finger everywhere else. But
yeah. Stuck out to you apparently. I don't remember that. I just know that they had the roasted chicken. They have giant potato. It's basically a potato you cut in half and season and then fry. And then just salad bar, pizza bar.
I mean,
everywhere.
And then pizza bar. And what other establishment other than what was that? You shoot hoops and throw it all up. I mean, this place had this buffet had the dessert pizza buffets too, right? The cactus bread and then whatever that blackberry stuff was.
Yeah, it was blackberry, and then I think there's one more too. They might have.
Is there an apple thing? Maybe
that might be an apple. Yeah, that sounds right.
What other place has all of that? I guess what was that? Cece's Pizza, the $5 pizza buffet that was just basically
around?
Just lighting your money on fire, right? Just Just give them $5 to have access to the buffet, and then you just throw all the food away. You're just throwing the food away for them, so they don't have to do it.
When we were growing up, I mean, Pizza Ranch the quality was
Pizza Ranch was so
top
good.
notch. I mean, they had one in college, so we still got to enjoy that, but we don't have it down here. So
Nashville just got one, or the Nashville area got one within the last year. I still haven't been. Can you believe that? Because it's like, I mean, it's probably 30 or 40 minutes away.
Yeah, if it's more than 20 minutes, I mean, you're not. Yeah,
because it's for Pizza
pizza.
Ranch, really.
Yeah. You could just order some Papa John's because Papa's in the house and get some burnt.
Papa's in the house and just get burnt every time. God, Papa John's sucks now. It's so bad.
Have you had it lately?
Yeah, I get it like every other week still. That's the thing.
I love that.
The thing, and what's so annoying is that there's other better pizza closer to what Papa John's is to me.
Yeah.
But it's not delivery, and that's just kind of a deal killer, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Do you always get it delivered?
Yeah.
Bold.
So.
Maybe you had better.
So that's probably, I don't know.
Who knows?
Anyways, what was that tangent even about? Do you know?
Honestly, I went from a work trip to Parks and Rec to dude pooping with his coffee on the ground to Toot Toot Lounge to.
All right, we had no plan for this episode.
No, it really went well though.
All right, I've just remembered actually a bit of a serious note here.
Okay.
We gotta have a mystery on our hands. So over Christmas, this is a couple weeks ago now, at work, there was some cold weather, and it caused some pipes to burst at my work, and my area of work got flooded. That's
not good.
Lost just a couple things, but overall we managed to come away pretty good. So nothing major other than just the mess and the cleanup and the whole thing. A couple things missing though.
Dun dun dun.
My magnets that I brought to lab.
Your neodymium magnet?
From the magnet story.
I thought those couldn't be destroyed.
Well, they might not be destroyed, but they're unaccounted for. Washed away in the flood, apparently. Because
oh God.
If you recall, and I honestly can't recall.
It's episode 9. If anyone wants to go listen to it, it's about our alien episode, and Jad told an all-timer on.
Well, so I made this thing I made this whole thing that could hold a button down, right?
Yes.
And it was a wooden handle. It was a wooden handle crafted to be ergonomic, handcrafted, mind you, and it had a couple sets of magnets that were offset so that it could depress this button, stay on this metal, encasing, and then when you wanted the button to be not on, you just flipped it up. Well, that thing I got, the magnets were so strong it broke the wooden half when I moved it once. And so, that's fine because the handle part then later just is what I used to hold the button down because 2 magnets were good enough. You swivel it and then it's fine. Oh, good. I kept 2 of the magnets at lab.
Was this flood on the wall where the magnets were?
It's pretty darn close. It was maybe 4 feet away, but I had the magnet on a piece of equipment that was metal, and I would use those magnets from time to time. Stuff gets shuffled around, getting it out of the way of the water, put stuff back.
Yeah.
No magnets. Someone took my magnets.
Son of a. Who was it?
So anyways, that is the
That's
update
the current
to the magnet story.
Oh, okay.
Which means it's unresolved. So expect a part 3 at some point in the future.
Or if you would like to help contribute to Jad getting some new neodymium magnets, you can always subscribe to the Patreon. It's a patreon.com/A210. There you can support the podcast, and you can also help support the neodymium magnet crisis
fund. Crisis.
Well, that's great.
Please write to us if you've seen them.
Bois@Ascension To Ten.com.
It may have washed away in a storm drain somewhere.
Yep.
Around the greater Nashville area, or I guess wherever water goes from Nashville. I don't know if that's south or north.
I don't know. The only one I know that goes north is the Nile. So
Nile. I thought, I guess does the Ohio River go north? I don't know. Whatever.
Well, fuck what I know where the Ohio River. God.
All right. I do have a story relevant to our movie.
Oh, that wasn't it?
That wasn't it. No.
Okay.
So it's a bit appropriate that we review this movie called Cold Zone.
Cold Zone.
At a time of the year where it's been a little chilly in North America. Lots of weather, lots of snow. I don't know how much snow fell back home, but over a foot or something, right? Yeah. Almost 2 feet.
Yeah.
Over 2 feet probably total with just weather and crap. I don't know. Who cares? Doesn't matter. But they got really chilly, right? Negative 50 wind chill or some stuff like that. Pretty chilly.
Crazy.
So this movie, as it turns out, is about apocalyptic, end of the world, snowstorm kind of thing, right? But it reminded me of a story in around 2015 or so, February-ish of 2015.
Okay.
I was in grad school still, and I had just passed my qualifying exam. So it was a big deal. And my wife, on the same day that I took my qualifying exam and passed, my wife found out that she passed her boards for occupational therapy. So it was, the stars just aligned on that day, and it was great. We decided to go drive to Florida. So this was a Friday evening. And we decided just to up and go to Florida on this island in the Gulf Coast somewhere. So kind of midway through Florida and then on an island in the Gulf, because my wife's parents were there for a week, and they had some room, and we, just get out of here because it was it was a busy month. Yeah. So we like, okay, let's just go. I think we left the next morning because it was a long drive. And then, we had never driven to Florida before. And so it took a while to get to Florida. But then Florida's a big state, as it turns out. And so then it took even longer to get to where we were going to go. And so I think it was something like 14 or 15 hours. We got to this resort at like 2:30 in the morning, right? On a Saturday.
Yeah.
In-laws leaving Sunday.
Awesome.
or Monday afternoon or something like that. So we have
perfect.
We have basically a day. I think we had about 25 hours worth of time to be in Florida. While we were there, it was fun, relaxing. It was a bit rushed, but what are you going to do? Right? Yeah. Free trip to Florida-ish. Okay, so then it's time to leave, right? And so we get back in the car and we head back home. And keep in mind, we packed for a 2-day trip to Florida, basically, right? We were going to Florida from Nashville, and we packed enough for that. Well, as it turns out, one of the worst winter storms in the area ever just happened to start on that day. And so we're getting closer and closer back to home. We get into Tennessee, and we start running into this sections of the interstate that were closed.
Yeah.
And we got to this one interchange where there was an off ramp, on ramp, and then it was just this random backwoods Tennessee part of the interstate was just at this random junction.
Yeah.
So we pull off and we realized that the interstate was closed, and happened to be a gas station there. So we thought, okay, well, let's go top off the gas tank. No gas.
Yeah.
Right. Because everyone else did the exact same thing. No gas, nothing at the place that we could buy. We didn't know anything that was happening, but what it looked like was what you would see on something like The Walking Dead or something, where it's just miles of parked cars. It just looked like an apocalyptic wasteland. And so there was,
too bad you didn't have your dirt bike with Elijah Wood.
I know, right? And the keys and stuff and the jars or whatever. So what ended up happening was we had to stay the night on the interstate. There was literally nowhere to go because behind us was backed up, in front of us was backed up, and we couldn't go either way on the where the interchange was. So we spent the night on the interstate. When we got to there, we had about a third tank of gas left. Couldn't get any gas at the gas station because there's no gas. They turned the pumps off. And so we had no winter clothes because it was fine when we left a day and a half ago and we went to Florida, right?
Right.
We had no idea the storm was coming. And so we happened to have one tiny little blanket, and it was actually kind of, we didn't really know what to do because we didn't have enough gas to keep the car on. So what we did was I set an alarm every 15 minutes. So I would wake up and check that we were still alive, turn the car on for a little bit to heat it up a little bit, and then turn it back off, try and get some more sleep. And then slowly we inched our way back into town. And it was just I think they were calling it an ice apocalypse because it was just ice,
sheer ice,
an insane amount of ice everywhere.
Yeah.
And getting back home on that tank of gas in this 97 Camry was just a miracle. It was insane.
That's amazing.
But it reminded me of when I was watching this movie, it reminded me of that story because the whole thing was about the ice apocalypse essentially.
I bet the ice didn't hit quite as fast as it did in this movie.
Yeah. Anyways. That was we spent more time in the car in total for that weekend than we did in Florida.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's
well,
great.
and it's funny because this whole thing kind of, in a way, starts in Florida in a roundabout. So, with the family,
that's right, the
coming
Miami
from
family,
Florida.
Right?
Yeah. I'm gonna read the synopsis right away, and then let's talk about it.
Okay. All right.
Jordan's spring break with Rory has just been ruined when his parents force him to go to Alaska and spend it with his parents. His parents are avid Alaskan vacationers and doctors in medicine and ornithology. They come up when Dad answers the call to investigate massive deaths of migrating birds. He eventually teams up with an environmental scientist who lives in the cabin waiting out the end of the world. They uncover the truth about an impending frozen Armageddon. However, all Jordan can think about is Dad keeps abandoning him and his mom for dinner. Eventually, the freeze hits all over the world, and the Tower of Pisa collapses when it freezes.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's it. But there is the part that we'll bounce around, but like the snow comes, there's a giant wave of snow. There's a research lab and a guy's outside and he freezes and everyone there freezes. But the next scene is like the kid and his parents coming up from Miami, right?
Yeah.
They drove. Did they? It made the impression
That's what
that
it
they
sounded
drove.
like.
And that is
what
like
it sounded like.
over 70 hours of driving. If you drive straight through. So like they're on spring break for a week. So what's going on?
I know, right? And they're all wondering why their teenage boy who was promised to go to Cabo is all
Rory.
upset and stuff after a 70-hour drive to Alaska with his parents.
That's amazing. That was just I just couldn't get over this Jordan character who plays the son is just so
Oh my God.
so
Such
upset.
a doofus. He's literally just a doofus.
It was he was one of those kids that he was just the lines for this guy was just so stupid. It was basically like, you're on your last leg here, kid. Like, we pulled all the strings to keep you from getting expelled, and you're the last. You had to come with us, otherwise you were gonna get kicked out of school. And like, I don't know what the big deal is. Rory did the same thing. That was
He's
it.
like, good, school's dumb anyways. Who needs school? And the mom says, what about your future, Jordy? It's Jordan. School's dumb. You know.
My name's Jordan, Dad. You know that because you were there. Stupid lies like that.
Awesome. Okay, we need to, off the bat, we need to paint a picture. They keep going back in this movie to show a view of Earth from space. And what they have one render for this shot. They thought, we need a shot of Earth from space. We got one chance to do this, and then we're going to use it repeatedly throughout the rest of the movie. Mm-hmm. It is a view of what looks like a hurricane, right?
Yep.
Eye of a storm, and then, rings and whatever, a spiral of storm outward.
Yeah.
Covering the entire northern hemisphere.
Yes.
You cannot see through this. Can't
see through it.
And yet no one is aware of this storm
in this town. They have the
anywhere,
news.
Right? And the news is like, oh, freak weather accident. And people freezing in space and whatnot.
Well, there's a scene when the dad and this environmentalist scientist get together and they're looking at the radar and they're like, look, it hasn't quite hit the town yet. And it's like spinning. So it's like the impression is that it's this tiny little storm. Like the tail has not quite hit them. Yeah. But really it's
but then it zooms out to Earth and it's the size of the planet.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nobody knows about it except one tiny little research outpost in Alaska with a barely functioning radar system. They're that's the only place that has data on this thing.
The only one.
and all the scientists froze to death. And the opening scene is of three what look like PhD level scientists or they're grad students or something. They all want to leave and they're just counting the days, and all they have to do is go out, look at their transmitters, and just sit back and drink. And
except Victor. Victor looks old. Looks like he's about to retire, doesn't he?
Fucking
Anyways,
but at one point early on, they lose a sensor or something, right? And so they were just going to pop a bottle for one guy's last day. Who cares? It doesn't matter. But this guy's gearing up, and he's like, "Oh, gotta go. Okay, gotta go get that sensor." Then he's gearing up, like he's gonna go on this massive hike. And the thing is in the front yard.
Yeah, it's
this building,
like 15 yards away.
It's 15 yards away, and it's something that I feel like is it's the size of a residential flagpole. How some houses have flagpoles, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's that big. That's the only place they could find that kind of looks like this building that had a thing in front of it and mountains in the back to make it look like it's Alaska, right? Yeah. And so he hikes out this thing, and at one point they had a close-up shot, so it was just him, right, in the receiver. So it at this point you may have thought it was a hike.
Yeah.
But then when the wind's coming in, it widens out and you see the house is just there.
Right there.
He had to go nowhere.
Right behind him.
And he has no idea that this wall of ice and just clouds and storms is heading right for him. He's just kind of, the wind's changing direction and it's kind of cold out here now. And then from the door of the research station, they're like, get in here! Get in here! It's coming! He's and then he freezes.
He just
in
runs
place.
and just falls.
Yeah.
But the question I had
falls.
The question I had with that whole thing was like, okay, so the sensor closest to the thing goes out first when there's a giant storm coming, and then all the other sensors go out. Like, how does this
Exactly.
And they
exactly.
and they use the exact same like snow coming thing twice
Yep.
in the same scene.
Oh,
It was so bad.
And then, okay, so the other two researchers that were there, they closed the door, right? Like the door is going to affect temperature, right?
Yeah.
And yet they both die. But later in the movie, when
Exactly.
the dad and the other guy go to this outpost, the same wall of storm comes, and they're totally fine because they started this little fire or something. I don't know. They don't even have their coats on.
Okay, so we're gonna bounce around in this movie, but the dad, at one point, like they get all this data and they're like, we got to get back to the town. We got to tell my family. We got to save everybody. He's on a snowmobile. He's got a timer for when the storms are gonna hit, and he just stops and he's like, I gotta get it. I gotta cover myself
Shelter.
and like get safe. So
Shelter.
he just starts digging into a giant snowbank, and then pushes snow behind him, and then he just has a candle.
Yeah.
He says, we're going to make it through this.
We're going to make it. There's a shot of him in the tunnel. It's just daylight in there, right?
Yeah.
Before he lights the candle.
Yes.
It would have been the simplest thing to do to just have him in a dark curtained room, right? And
Yeah.
have him film the lighter come on where you can just see his face
Just
and
really
stuff
close to
to
his
give
face.
an atmosphere that he's in this cold, damp, shelter from the apocalypse outside. But no,
Yeah.
it's just this daylit room inside. We haven't talked about this storm yet.
Oh, yeah.
Every time the storm hits, and I guess it's cyclical in some manner, and it's getting quicker, but it is. And I should have tallied how many times they used this sound effect. But when the storm when the storm front hits and passes wherever the characters are,
Yeah.
it's a sound of a grizzly bear getting all riled up and stuff. I'm not going to try to imitate it, but it's so ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Every single time. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's the part where like, so the husband, I think his name is Roger. His name's Roger, and his wife, Candace, is also a doctor, but she's a doctor of medicine. So whenever they come up for spring break or whatever, it's weird that the son has never been here. He's like 16 or 17, but she goes to the local clinic and works there. And it's like they basically said no one gets care until she shows up that week. There's no doctor. But then when you get to the center, there's like 5 doctors. But they specifically wrote in that like, no one used to get care until Candace came up, and she comes up for the week, and everyone comes to go get medicine.
Well,
like,
not to mention everyone in that town. They wrote this into the movie to a point that was so annoying, and this idea that people from the north, I guess Alaska, are the only people on the planet that are equipped to deal with cold.
Right.
They drove that point home to absurd lengths, unnecessary lengths, and they said it directly as exposition, but also to just dunk on these characters from Miami.
Yeah.
Which includes this doctor that apparently single-handedly makes this clinic run for a week in the spring.
Awesome.
But at the same time, they're saying you Southerners don't know how to live up here.
Well, yeah, there's there's a part where towards the end, the dad gets there, he gets his son, they're trying to get in this freezer truck or refrigerator truck.
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing insulated enough to keep people safe. And like they're all getting out of the clinic. And right as they're leaving, the doctor turns around and the nurse closes the door with her little key card and is like, I'm from here. I'm built different. Like I'm gonna stay here for the people. Everyone else is dead.
They're dead.
They're dead.
All dead. It's like it was as if it was it just really reminded me of something like COVID deniers or something, where it was just this storm's not gonna kill me, right? And then she dies 3 minutes later.
Yeah.
She doesn't believe in it.
Well, yeah,
even though everyone's dead and gone.
Yeah, because at one point everything in town, like all the power has gone out except the clinic because it has a backup generator. And all these people are like standing around like talking about, oh, what should we do? What should we do? And the Miami doctor, Candace, her son, Jordan, gets the call from the dad saying, hey, don't go outside. Like every 15 minutes, there's going to be a giant ice blast. Just stay where you are. I'm trying to get to you as soon as I can. And like he realized that Jordan, the son, relays the message to mom. And mom's like, I didn't get all the details, but it's like, you can't go outside and like, you should just stay here. And just my husband's going to be here soon.
Yeah.
And they're like, listen, Miami.
Who are you?
Listen, Miami.
It was literally an implementation of telephone where the guy hears it secondhand from the scientist, right? The dad's an ornithologist, right? His whole understanding of this event is the scientist that he met in a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
That guy figured it out. So the dad is relaying what the guy in the woods figured out, told it to his son, who told it to the mom, who's telling it to the group of people that stumbled into the clinic. And they're like, no, we're going to go.
Yeah, we're just going to drive.
But the one guy who said he's a truck driver or something, I wrote this thing down. He said, well, if there's a storm, we got to get back on the road. And that just struck me as that's the thing you don't do, right? That's the one thing you don't do. If there's a storm, stay off the road, right? Especially if the people around you are dropping dead, right?
No shit.
And one more thing about this clinic I thought was funny. Okay, so at the beginning of the movie, the family arrives from Miami. They drove 70 hours straight to get to this B&B. They specifically never said Airbnb, right?
Right.
But they said, I mean, it's a bed and breakfast, but it's a short-term rental, right?
Right.
And they're calling it B&B. But okay, it's operated by this teenage girl who happens to be the daughter of the people that own the place, which is also her house. So she's staying there, and the Jordy, perks up. He's less sullen now because there's a pretty girl in front of him. And so she's taking him around town, right? He's being a little turd the whole time, trying to act tough and cool or indifferent, all the above. And at one point, she's giving him a tour of the town. They're on bicycles, and she says they get some hot chocolate, and she says, all right, come on, you want to see a real dump? And she takes him, the next scene is she takes him to the clinic. Want to see a real dump? This is where your mom works.
It was awesome. I think one of the best parts too is she's like, hey, we're gonna ride bikes, so this is like my brother's bike. And he's like, oh sweet, if I was your brother, I'd be so pissed if you let somebody borrow this. She's like, well, he's in college, so like he's not here, so who cares? But every time he grabs every time he grabs the bike, he's like, yeah, he like whips it up.
Yeah.
He's like never ridden a bike before.
His enthusiasm for that, but it's writing like this. It's just
bike.
Why, right? What does this add to his character? The 2 seconds that they take to have him be overly excited about a moderately decent BMX bike, right?
Yeah,
that will be a pain in
like,
the ass to ride around town in. And he shows way too much enthusiasm for this bike that's in the total runtime for about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. It never comes up again that he rides bikes or that he likes bikes.
No. he just keeps grabbing it and then flipping it up, like so the handle, so the wheel is up in the air. And it's just like
after the hot chocolate thing, it looks like he's gonna leave. Right? She's still sitting there drinking her hot chocolate. Yeah. He gets up and he starts whipping the bike around like he's going to leave her when they're still clearly on the tour. And he whips it around, like Spenny said, to the left, to the right. Like he's going to go this way. He's going to go that way.
Keeps doing it.
He almost decapitates a guy.
Yeah. Sailor Jerry on his scooter. Just flying around. Some drunk old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways.
The only other part that was great is like after the bike, she's like, you want to go for a real hike tomorrow? And he's like more backwoods. And he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then they take a 4-wheeler. Yeah. But then they stop at they just stop at some point. And his comment is, yeah, it's awesome. It's like a jet ski, but with more clothes on.
It's like, yeah, I guess it's okay. He's from Miami, right?
Yeah, sure.
But he's never heard of a 4-wheeler before.
Yeah, but then Claire, they stop, and Claire, like, they're looking out, and it's like this beautiful, vista, and there's nothing in sight except mountains and stuff. But then instead of just, I don't know, making a sound, yelling, doing anything, she just pulls out a whistle and just like, whee! Just blows a whistle. And she's like, do you want to try it too? And he's like, oh yeah.
Let me blow that whistle. But okay, so this whistle is an alarm whistle. Right. It's meant to get the attention of someone nearby. It's meant to signal that you're in trouble. Yeah. Right. It's avalanche, or maybe you're getting assaulted or something. Right. That's the kind of whistle. Yeah. But they use it in a point and at a place where she clearly says, what did she say? Well, I don't know if she said anything, but she said that no one's here. Right.
Yeah. No one can hear us or something. Actively
illustrating the fact that alarm whistle would be completely useless.
Yes.
I'm in trouble. I have this trouble whistle, and I guess no one can hear me. There's not enough people around here.
That's awesome.
Okay, then there was one other just random thing I wanted to say. So people start getting hurt because now these cold blasts are coming through, and nobody, I don't know. Yeah. That's just the North, right? It's just what they do is get hit by cold blasts. Right. That's their job. And at the clinic, some guy, Jordy's there, and they've waited all night for the dad to come, to dinner. It's the next night, and dad's still not there for dinner. Right. Yeah. They're still talking about dinner when it's the next night. He's at this point 24 hours late for this dinner. He's like, oh, dad, Yeah. But some guy comes in and to the clinic, and he has a fish hook through his hand or something. Yeah. Right. And so the mom has to go because, again, she's the only doctor that can do anything in this town, I guess. And, but she gets him patched up. And then later, another scene, she says, maybe don't fish or something. I don't know. She says something stupid like that.
Yeah. She
And
does.
the guy responds by saying, the cold isn't a monster. What does that have to do with him getting a fish hook in his hand?
That doesn't make any sense. It's
I don't know.
It's one of those lines that you just throw it away. I mean, there was one part where what? Yeah.
Well, it was just to further illustrate this, whatever stupid point this director's trying to make about Alaskans being tougher than everybody else. Like, it was like he got made fun of or something. He's from Alaska and he got made fun of and he took it personally. So he made this stupid movie about how tough Alaskans are and they all die.
Yeah. Well, I think this whole thing was shot in Canada. So if that helps, they're all Canadians.
Either way, I don't know, but
well, there was also one part. So the environmentalist guy's name's Tim Hughes, but he's like rattling off all these things that cause global warming, and he says nuclear reactors,
nuclear fuel, nuclear reaction.
And I was like, wait,
that produces steam.
Zero.
It produces literally just water, and radioactive waste has no effect on the climate. That is
just like
would be a salvation actually as a source of energy to stop climate change.
That was one of those scenes where they're looking at this computer where the temperatures keep moving and stuff, and he just starts rattling off like every weather science word that you can think of, and I was like, okay,
yeah, it was just so jargony, right?
You're so smart.
But and then that's in that same breath he says, or sometime around that time he says, because the dad says something like, well, there's no birds or something, they all died, and he said they didn't die, they left, right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. And he said animals are smarter than humans, they know.
Yeah,
they don't know. They react. That's all they do. Right? He's the smartest guy on the planet. He's literally, the way they make this seem, he is the only person that saw this coming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's like
the only person on the planet.
He's the Dennis Quaid of Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah. And he's like, my whole career I was getting ridiculed for climate change and climate studies. And that's so... It's just such a stupid statement, because the scientists studying this are they keep each other up, right? Like they build each other up. They don't take them down. Right. And so he's being
ostracized for his projections of death.
Yeah. So the dad and this Tim guy, they get to this research outpost. Keep in mind, snowmobile. Keep in mind that the Tim guy was doing no research. He was just up in a cabin in Alaska waiting to die.
Yeah, literally.
And
like,
so
giving up.
They find this research outpost and they find the data that the scientists there collected.
Yeah. And
there's some electrical interference or something from this snow cloud. Yeah. That prevented them from sending an email, right? And so,
well, yeah, and so after he gets the data, he's like, "This is gonna save the world," but I just got to get it above certain like height. So did he make a balloon, or
he rigs up a balloon and sends it like 30 feet in the air? And that's how he got out the data to Washington. Yeah. And then there was this thing, and then he just leaves the doors open to the research center for the next cold blast, and he just stares it down, right? And then just grisly noises come and mauls him. And because he's fine now, because he got the data out. And the last thing that the dad says to the scientist, he goes, what does he say? He says something like, save as many as you can. How is that in any way his control? Like, the best he can do is get the information out there, right? He has no control about what the people who receive it do with it, the information. And then,
God.
but they cut to so a few storms have rolled through, and they're huddled in the hospital. They apparently still have cable, right? Homie
Right.
and the research station can't send an email, but the people within the same storm still have cable and they can watch the news.
Yeah.
And then there's this
Of course.
breaking news story about how Tim, whatever, up in Alaska, risked his life to get out this world-changing information.
Within, like,
Washington
20
got it too
minutes.
late. Yeah,
Within
it took
20
20 minutes for Washington, and I guess the hacks they have there to decipher through information and say, okay, everybody needs to go south now. That's how we're going to be in. Can't do anything. You just got to go south.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so in this same scene, so they're watching this news broadcast, right? The family's been reunited at the hospital. The news report specifically says Tim, whatever, climate scientist, got out this information. Okay, the news broadcast ends. Candace, the mom, looks to the husband who was up there with him and with the Tim guy. She asked him, was that you? Was that you that got out that and saved the world? The news literally just said, Tim, whatever, savior of the human race. Was that you?
Was that you?
And
That's
then
awesome.
it says, Tim says, because the dad's like, well, how do we stop this? And Tim says, you don't get it. We did this ourselves. We blew up the planet ourselves. You don't get it. This is forever. Yeah. And then the news broadcast comes out using the data that Tim sent. Says, this storm's going to last 7 days. Go as far south as you can. So what happened to this is it, right?
Yeah. That was awesome.
So
really
who cares?
did.
They find a helicopter, and that somehow the dad knows how to fly a helicopter. And
well, that's the part they kept making a joke about him being able to fly a helicopter, and then Jordan's like, "Oh, Dad, I didn't know you can fly a helicopter," and he's just like pushing on the buttons. And it's like, all right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, because multiple times. So the Tim guy said, you got to get back to Pemberton and get to your family. There's a helicopter there. You got to. The only way you get out is to go above 8,000 feet and fly south. You know how to fly a helicopter, right? And the dad says, and then he finds this random town person in this refrigerator place. And he says, okay, the plan is we're going to go to the airfield and it's outside of town. We're going to get a helicopter fly out here. And she says, you know how to fly a helicopter? And he says, and then they get to the helicopter and Jordy says, you know how to fly a helicopter, Dad? I've never even heard you mention that. And he goes, and then, but sure enough, he does. They were actively setting up like he had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
That was the foreshadowing. Like he was going to figure it out literally on the fly. And he was just a pilot.
Yeah.
He was a pilot the whole time.
He was a pilot the whole time.
He could have flown his family to Alaska and avoided a 70-hour road
Well, yeah.
trip.
What doesn't it's still like it doesn't make any sense. Why they drove from Miami?
Oh,
there's a few other things. Like the whole time when it's like freezing and the dad gets back into town, he never has gloves on for whatever reason. He just lost his gloves. And then the other thing I couldn't figure out. So they were sitting in this back of this refrigerator van driving, and they like just had the girl somehow they perfectly timed it where she could drive over this concrete bridge and then keep driving during the storm, and hopefully she wouldn't freeze to death.
Yeah.
But didn't the Tower of Pisa, when the storm hit, froze and then crumbled to the ground? So why didn't the bridge crumble to the ground?
The already decrepit, condemned bridge that was falling apart before any storm. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out. And
Not to mention,
excuse, the excuse that she said is, oh, that bridge won't fall. My brother and I were in his truck and we went to a party over there and we came back. So it's good.
Yeah. She was describing in unnecessary detail this party that she went to. And just to say that the bridge will be fine. They're actively dying, right? And she starts talking about a party and who was there and who wasn't.
It just added nothing to the movie except just stupidity. It was hilarious.
Okay. Not to mention the fact that, okay, they have to go over this bridge because all the people that left town that the doctor was trying to save, right, and keep there, they all left on this one road that led to the airport, even though they said the airport was north of town, and everyone there said that, well, we got to go south to the city. And they're all on this road north, I guess, and they're all dead. So it was this total blockade. So they have to go a roundabout route over this condemned bridge. That wasn't an option, but they can do it. No worries. We're all good.
No drama.
And they're driving, and they no fuel, and another storm's going to hit, and blah, blah, blah. And at one point they're driving, and they're getting close to the bridge. And the dad says, well, we're really low on gas, so we're not going to be able to run the refrigerator unit and drive and make it there in time.
Yeah.
By the way, how far is it to the airport after the bridge? And the woman says another 40 miles.
The gas tank is on E.
The gas tank is on E, and the storm hits before they get to the bridge. And the whole plan was they were going to put some blankets in the cab. And this local townswoman, who again is tougher than they think, and they are, because she's from the north, she can handle it. She can handle a negative 500-degree wind blast because, like Spenny said, she's built different. Okay, they're in the back, right? You see the driver kind of start to freeze and whatever and get really cold and stuff, but the blast hits them as they're on the bridge, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they're thinking like she's got 30 seconds, right? Up there. We put some blankets up there and winterized it as best we could. And they, kind of like they feel the bumps of the bridge and stuff.
Right.
And then it's like kaput, 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 kaput. And they get out, the wind blast ends. And then they're just fucking there. They're 40 miles down the road.
In front of
the helicopter.
At the hangar.
She literally says it's another 40 miles after the bridge.
Yeah, that's the part that didn't make any sense. The gas tank is on E. I was like, there's no way you're going to make this. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. And then she obviously has been frozen for like 30 miles. So she was just frozen driving straight. Apparently the road was straight. I don't know.
She also says that the road is windy after the bridge. It's a windy 40 miles. She just coasts them straight up to the hangar.
Well, then, they get to the helicopter and Dad just takes off, knows how to fly, no problem. And the next thing it cuts to is they're in San Francisco. Like, holy shit.
Well, they tell the two kids. So the teenage girl, Jordy, went and saved her, even though the mom told Jordy, let her die. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So Jordy goes on a mission and saves her.
The whistle comes back for that.
The whistle
makes an appearance.
The mom finds Jordy and Claire, or whatever her name was, it doesn't matter, asleep on the floor in the Airbnb. And she's thinking they're dead. And turns out they're not dead. But Claire says, "Oh, thank God Jordy came here, because I was going to go to sleep and I probably wouldn't have woken up." The mom finds them asleep. That's what they did. Is go to sleep. So I don't know what Jordy. Jordy was such a doofus this whole movie.
God, I guess kid was literally the worst. Just the stupidest lines.
But they get to the airport, and the dad says to the two kids, "Go find the helicopter key. You'll know it when you see it. It's this giant hangar with multiple offices, and they're just supposed to go find this key and and then get the helicopter up in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And Jordy just walks over and grabs it.
Yeah, right away. Well, I didn't get the fact that could you actually get up 7,000 or 8,000 feet in a helicopter in that fast? I don't know anything about helicopters, so
Yeah, I think so.
that seemed okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, never mind.
But I don't know.
That was it. I mean, it was. I gotta admit, it was entertaining. It was stupid, but it was funny.
This was very similar to it was the Tremor 6 version of The Day After Tomorrow.
Totally was. That's what. It was a it was a made for TV movie. It won actually. Gosh, I think it won an award.
What? Wow.
It won a Leo award for best overall sound in a television movie.
For the grizzly bear noise?
For whatever Leo
store.
Whatever Leo.
Oh man.
But yeah, the whole thing was also shot in like 20 days. From February 20th to March 9th.
That makes sense.
There's not a lot of tidbits on there other than the fact that it says you can tell it's not in Alaska because the sign for the clinic says center, which is spelled CENTRE instead of CENTER. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, this is the Ascension to 10 podcast.
Before we give out scores, it strikes me. Well, okay, my wife brought this up after she listened to last week's episode.
Yeah.
She brought it up immediately. And she said, you watched the whole movie. So what did we watch last? The Man Who Killed Hitler and blah, blah, blah. We watched the whole movie. We did a whole episode about it. And then we just decided to give like NA scores. Just not applicable. We didn't even rate it. And she said, why would you go through all that and just not even give it a rating? It's funny because on our Google... Yeah. On our Google Doc, I have all of our ratings from everyone who's been on the show and stuff. And for that, I just put in NA.
Do you want to give it a score? Do you want to say?
Well, no, it's too late now. It's too late.
Okay.
But I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
I mean, we could have given Avatar a score too.
Oh yeah, Avatar. I guess that would have been.
Anyways.
No, whatever. What do you got for this one?
Wow, we really blew it. Hey, I think this is perfectly in line with exactly what you were saying. Tremor 6. I'm giving it a 0.9.
Okay, 0.9. I mean, I gave Tremor 6 an Ascension right off the bat, and I think if I remember our tier list right from last week, we gave Tremor 6 was more of an A or an S tier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was a high Ascension. It was maybe something rounded down to an Ascension, right?
Right. Yeah.
Instead of something rounded up to an Ascension. That was Tremor 6.
Yeah.
I think what we learned, well, maybe if I can reflect on last week, is that may have been handing out too many Ascensions. Especially if we're going to rate something in S tier Ascension. So I'll give this one a 0.02.
0.02. God, you're going to regret that. Anyways.
This movie fucking sucks. I mean, you know, the interesting thing was I just randomly chose it last week at the time, right? There was no there was no reason why I chose that. It was just
I think my
I was
favorite
on
part
Amazon.
is you said,
I just looked.
You said Cold Zone, and I was like, God, is this like a bad like Day After Tomorrow? And it literally was.
It literally was. But the funny thing is when I went back to search it for it and then actually watch it, the thing that popped up on the search bar, you know, it starts autofilling, right? When you think what it thinks you want to watch.
Yeah.
What would only pop up was Cold Zone 2.
What?
Did it do that for you?
No. Well,
And so when I searched for Cold Zone 2, obviously it didn't exist. And so that's making me wonder who is searching for Cold Zone 2 enough to make it auto-populate. Right? People watched this, right? So
Yeah,
a certain
that's
amount of them
amazing.
would have had to search for it. Who's searching for Cold Zone 2?
That's awesome.
So what I'm
All right.
getting at here is, if there ever is a Cold Zone 2, you better believe we're going to review that. Anyways. Oh, you still over there?
Like White
Oh, no.
Space 2. Probably have to review that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. Looked like I
But
lost
if
you.
there's ever a White Space 2, we'll definitely
Yeah.
watch that too.
White Space. Even more beyond White Space.
What is White Space? Never figured that out.
Dunno.
All right. Well,
All right.
so this is the Ascension 10 podcast. You can find us on socials at Ascension to 10 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can find us at Ascension to 10 Podcast on YouTube if you like to digest your content that way.
That's right.
I guess it's up for me for the next episode.
Yeesh.
We are going to do Earth Girls Are Easy from 1988.
Oh, let's go. Earth Girls Are Easy. Let's go. I don't
Listen
know
to
if I've
this
heard of that one or
cast.
not.
Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, Damon Wayans, Michael McKean, yeah, Larry Linville who's from MASH, and then a couple other people. Can't remember what their names are. Anyways, I never heard of it. Stumbled upon it. I was like, sweet. You should watch the trailer. It's gonna be a good time.
All right. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's the cast makes me think it might be like a Mars Attacks kind of thing, but
It's listed under comedy, musical, romance. So we'll see. I don't know what the musical aspect is, but
let's go.
let's go. Well, until next time, he's Jad. I'm Spenny.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to Ascension to 10.